It's 8:12 a.m. A guy walks into Starbucks, orders a latte, and steps aside to wait. 1 minute goes by, he's chill. 2 minutes, his smile is on life support. 5 minutes, okay, I'm done, even my wife doesn't take this long to get ready. Meet Tonny. Tonny thinks he's waiting for coffee. What he doesn't see is that he's standing inside a full-blown billion-dollar identity crisis. He has no idea that his tiny 5-minute delay isn't random. It's a symptom of something much bigger. Because Starbucks right now, it's in this weird phase where the revenue is going up, but everything else is going down like a malfunctioning elevator. Let me show you what Tonny doesn't see. Last year, Q4 2024, Starbucks made around $9.07 billion. This year, Q4 2025, they made $9.57 billion. So technically, that's growth. Yay, confetti, good job everyone. Except here's the part Tonny definitely isn't thinking about while staring at the phone machine. The money went up, but the profit fell almost 80%, and traffic in North America stayed basically flat, which might make you wonder, at least for a moment, whether this is the beginning of the end for Starbucks. And the answer is no, not quite. But the reasons behind the current chaos are buried in decisions that started almost a decade ago. Do you think Starbucks in 2025 feels the same as it used to be from 2015? And the answer is definitely not. But if you feel it's the same, comment down. Anyway, to understand why everything feels off, you have to look at how the company slowly drifted away from what it originally wanted to be. Back in the mid-2010s, Starbucks still lived by the third place idea. The whole point was to be the comfortable in-between space that wasn't home and wasn't work. A warm environment where people could sit for a while, open a laptop they didn't actually use, order drinks with names that last longer than their relationships. But even before the pandemic, people were slowly shifting toward convenience, which quietly nudged Starbucks away from its slower premium vibe towards something a little more streamlined and efficiency-focused. Then the pandemic hit, and it didn't just accelerate the change, it slammed the gas pedal to the floor. Overnight, the Starbucks third place disappeared, not metaphorically, literally. Chairs were pulled out, cafes shut down, mobile orders became the default, delivery apps swarmed the stores, and drive-thrus transformed from a convenience feature into the backbone of the entire company. The business had to survive, and the fastest way to do that was to redesign everything around speed, output, and efficiency, instead of the slow, cozy atmosphere that built the brand in the first place. And once the world was COVID-proof again, Starbucks found itself stuck in this hybrid form. Technically still calling itself a premium cafe, but operating internally like a high-volume coffee factory where the priority is moving drinks out as fast as humanly possible, even if the experience feels nothing like the company's original vision. And who do you think is the real victim here? The customers? The workers? Or the CEO? Yep, you got it. It's the workers. Now, picture this. You marry someone you love. Everything seems perfect, and the moment the wedding's over, they flip. They show their real personality, file for divorce, and walk away with half your life savings. That's basically what Starbucks workers went through. For years, the company called them partners, which sounds sweet and respectful until the workload exploded. Shareholder pressure kicked in, targets got insane, and suddenly these partners were being treated more like side characters in someone else's story. And out of that frustration, the spark hit. In late 2021, a small group of baristas in Buffalo pushed back. That tiny movement spread fast, over 550 stores, more than 12,000 baristas. Meanwhile, inside the stores, everything was breaking down. Understaffing became the default, not because people didn't want to work, but because the labor hours Starbucks gave each store didn't match the chaos happening every day. Mobile orders, drive-thru orders, walk-ins, and TikTok-level customized drinks all slamming at once. Workers were being pulled across 3 service channels simultaneously, cranking out dozens of modified drinks under insane pressure. And the wild part? A lot of them still couldn't get enough weekly hours to even qualify for Starbucks' so-called best-in-class benefits. And the craziest part about Tonny's 5-minute wait is that it isn't a glitch, it's the new normal. The store experience didn't collapse because baristas suddenly got slower or lazier. It collapsed because the entire system shifted towards speed and mobile orders so aggressively that the walk-in customer became an afterthought, like someone showing up to a party that already started 2 hours ago. Mobile orders now take up almost 31% of Starbucks' US volume, and around 70% of its corporate stores have a drive-thru, which means Tonny might look like the only guy standing there waiting for a latte. But behind the scenes, there's already a digital avalanche of drinks ahead of him. Mobile orders, delivery orders, drive-thru orders, all backed up before his latte even enters the system, creating what analysts literally call the invisible queue. The company tried to replace human labor with equipment and efficiency tricks, and even the new CEO, Brian Nicole, admitted it was a mistake. He called out the previous leadership under Laxman Narasimhan for cutting labor assuming equipment couldn't offset it, and that wasn't accurate. The result? Wait times exploded. Analysts estimated that by late 2024, 8% of customers were waiting 15 to 30 minutes for drinks, compared to almost no one waiting that long before the pandemic. Meanwhile, occasional customers, the ones who don't use the app, pulled back hard. So the experience got worse, the wait got longer, and the only thing going up was the price. And Tonny is standing right in the middle of it. Starbucks isn't just fighting one competitor, it's getting squeezed from every direction. And honestly, once you see the landscape, you start to realize why the 2025 Starbucks feels nothing like the 2015 version. First, the value and speed attack. Dunkin' and McDonald's, or McCafe, aren't trying to be fancy. They're cheap, fast, and everywhere. Their whole strategy is simple menus plus quick drive-thrus equals daily commuters locked in. And it works. Every time Starbucks raises its prices, these guys quietly scoop up the price-sensitive regulars. What do you think? Would you pay $6.50 for a latte when a $2.50 one gets you through the morning? Exactly. So Starbucks feels the pressure to stay premium while also competing with brands that don't even pretend to be premium. Second, the Gen Z speed crew. Dutch Bros and 7 Brew are a different beast. They're not selling coffee, they're selling energy. Drive-through only, app first, loud, friendly, and built for younger consumers. Their broistas are basically hype men with espresso machines. While Starbucks is juggling mobile orders, walk-ins, and drive-thrus, these guys do one thing and do it fast. So Gen Z that wants speed and personality? Yeah, they're drifting away. Be honest, if a barista knew your name, your drink, and hyped you up like a gym trainer, would you go back? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. Third, the quality and atmosphere threat. Then you have the specialty cafes, the local shops with real latte art, curated beans, quieter spaces, and actual hospitality. Starbucks used to dominate the third place feel. Now these smaller cafes provide a better vibe and better coffee, often at the same or lower price than a Starbucks handcrafted drink. So, customers who want real coffee culture, they're walking away from the corporate chain feel. Fourth, the at-home takeover. Nespresso and Keurig hit Starbucks in a totally different spot. They're not stealing cafe vibes, they're stealing routine. If you can get a solid cup at home in 30 seconds, why go out every morning? And with grocery store beans, pods, and Starbucks' own at-home branding everywhere, the competition is eating part of the ritual Starbucks built. Ask yourself, how many people do you know who used to go daily but now say, I'll just make one at home? It adds up. Right now, Starbucks needs to decide what it actually wants to be. Does it double down on convenience and become the fast coffee version of McDonald's? Or does it rebuild the experience and bring back the warmth that made people fall in love with the brand in the first place? Because if it keeps trying to be both, the identity crisis just gets worse. So what do you think Starbucks will look like in the next few years? A premium cafe again? A full-on coffee factory? Something completely different? Comment below. I want to hear your prediction. And before you go, I want to get a better handle on your own daily spending, including all those quiet little Starbucks runs. You can grab my budget tracker. I use it myself. There's a free version if you just want the basics and a premium version if you want the full setup. Links in the description.